Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the first edition of Press R in 2026. I wish you a happy new year 2026 on behalf of the production team of Press R. On today's edition of the program, we're going to be examining the milestones and the challenges that Cameroon has gone through this far. Of course, with some projections into the 2026 year. And to talk about this, I have invited these number of people on Press R today who are experts in their domain. We have Patience Elango, ladies first. She is a corporate journalist. You're welcome to Press R.
Thank you for having me.
You know, when you are on this set, I am as happy as a king.
Oh, I hope so. I'm the one who is feeling intimidated today. Looking at the quality of gentlemen you have around me, they are movers and shakers, and they're quite smart, as we want them every day on any panel.
Thank you so much. Dr. Kennedy Tumenta is an economist. He is the CEO of African BIP. You're welcome.
Thank you very much. It's always a pleasure. Happy New Year to the co-panelists and to the televiewers. It's always a pleasure to be here, and looking forward to exchanging on this unique topic.
Yes, and we have Professor Victor Mbarika. He is a Cameroonian diaspora and the president of the Board of Trustees of the ICT University. Prof, you are welcome to Press R.
Thank you. Always my honor.
I should ask, do you live in Cameroon or you live in the United States? I see you here all the time. I hear you over there all the time.
I know, right? No, I live in both. I live in America and Africa.
Thank you so much. Thank you for accepting to come to this set today and enlighten us in so many things. Paul Anchang is a political scientist, always here, the man of the speech. You're welcome.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Killian. Thank you to CRT and his Director General. Thank you for having me on this illustrious panel as well. I think we'll have a very interesting and pedagogic intellectual exchange so that those back at home may be able to comprehend better some of the tidbits on top of the topics.
And we are not going to stay at that intellectual level. We're going to go down to grassroots language because Press R appeals and speaks to everyone who watches the program. And given that newspapers, most of the newspapers, private newspapers, are on break, we at least had some newspapers that are published. Some of them are special editions, and some of them just have something to give to the public, which is special. And we had in Cameroon Tribune, for example, the best is yet to come. That is, I am duty bound. Cameroon Tribune quotes the President of the Republic in its Friday edition of January 2nd, 2026. Health Minister Manauda Malachi pays an unannounced visit to health workers in some hospitals at the crossover night, and the Guardian Post newspaper describes the gesture as unprecedented pragmatism. The Inded News newspaper focuses on gold. It writes, government uncovers massive gold export discrepancies facilitated by porous borders, which Sonamin must stop such smuggling by modernizing its tracking mechanism. Today, Sunday, January 4, is match day for Cameroon. Cameroon plays against South Africa. Cameroon Insider revisits the Cameroon-Cote d'Ivoire encounter, saying the Lions could only bite but fail to devour in a 1-1 draw. Those were the few newspapers that we had on our group today that were sent to us. Ladies and gentlemen, we hope that by next Sunday, the newspapers will have resumed publication and will bring them to you as we always do on Press R. Now to our topic. I should just ask you, from the little we heard from the newspapers, is there something that sparked, that caught your attention? Just one thing from the newspapers.
For me, I would highlight the fact that the Minister of Health made the rounds at the level of the hospitals, and we also saw the Minister of Defense in Kongsamba. So for the troops, so for those who sacrifice for themselves at work on that particular day, we know it's a day on the 31st. A lot of people go to church, people pray, but it was quite important to see that we could also see the medical personnel, we could see the security personnel on board and what they did. So for my own part, I think it's a laudable effort. I think we have to commend them more, because for them, they still work during the holidays, but after the holidays, that's when they might get a little break. So for me, I think kudos to them for that, for the effort, and for the Minister of Defense and for the Minister of Health for doing that as well.
The best is yet to come. I'm duty bound. That is what Cameroon Tribune writes about, quoting the head of state in his speech, Professor Mbarika.
Well, absolutely. The head of state kind of reiterated what he said during his inaugural address. And the best is yet to come. I am focusing on three things. He keeps repeating: the role of the youth, the role of women, and the role of the digital transformation. If at his age he can be talking about digital transformation, I take my hats off to him.
And that's your specialty?
It is.
That's why it touches you. That's why it touches you.
I live and breathe technology.
What caught your attention? One of these things or something else?
Well, he spoke about women, of course, I'm going to talk about that. And everybody's happy he spoke about women. He has always spoken about women. But now, are the women available and ready to stand tall? That's my question. 46.6% only participated as registered potential voters, whereas we have the demographic advantage. So the question is, who is fooling who? Who is ready or not ready? What are we going to do?
We're going to get some of those answers, the answers to some of those questions as the program unfolds. Yes,
yes, looking at Cameroon Tribune, I believe that the head of state spoke about governance, peace and unity and stability, which are great cornerstone for economic development, and I think that is very, very important for us. So the milestones ahead are fruitful, and looking at what Cameroon Tribune presented, it strikes me so much as an economist, because we expect boom in 2026, and we need peace, stability, and unity.
And our focus on Press Hour today is between challenges and milestones. What is the balance sheet for Cameroon? Where is Cameroon? How has Cameroon overcome the difficulties, some of the challenges that we face as a country? And what are those milestones that we have covered? And I'm going to start with you, Dr. Kennedy, from the economic perspective. What are some of the real challenges that Cameroon has faced thus far?
Cameroon constructed a lot of infrastructures, most especially the energy infrastructures.
You're talking about challenges.
Yes, yes, in the last year, and we were not able to get this energy to the right space, because the productivity that came out from the Naktika Dam, we were not able to take that energy to the production basins and transformative basins. And so we do hope that this will be solved. The nationalizations of ENIO was one of those perspectives to make sure that the productions by the independent power producing companies, once they produce, we can take those energy through Sonatrach to the right space. The second part was also the, let's say, post-electoral challenges that we had, because it actually, in the short run, pushed inflated prices that affected household, most especially the vulnerable household. And another part was the incomplete road infrastructures that connect some of our major cities. We are very happy that the connection to right up to Bamenda is already completed. But looking at Douala, Yaoundé highway is not yet completed, and is hampering trade, sub-regional trade. So if you look at those challenges, they are so important. Another part is the unemployment rate that is very, very rampant. Our university has produced a lot of graduates in the past years, even though a lot of experts are calling for practical-oriented trainings. But we also have to make sure that we have reskilling and create adequate jobs for our young men and our women, to reverse the migration trend, the immigration trend that we have, and to make sure that we can create spaces in what we call rural competitive zones. And the Ministry of Rural Development, of Agriculture and Rural Development, need to create rural competitive spaces in the rural areas to reduce rural urban exodus, making sure that once our young men goes to bigger cities and studies, they should go back in those competitive zones to create industrial projects and to make sure that they can develop sustainable initiatives within their communities.
And if that is done, it will be focusing on youth.
Exactly. Yes, yes. I think if you look at some of the statistics that she gave, our population, the demographic structure shows that we have a lot of young people, youth and women, and we have to make sure that we create a lot of opportunities for this demographic group to make sure that they can becomes engine for change. That is why in the head of state speech, you could see within the line that he spoke about the challenges of entrepreneurship, why he pushed forward digital solutions. But we believe that entrepreneurship and entrepreneurial mindsets are very important. If we talk about entrepreneurial mindsets, there is different from entrepreneurship because people confuse entrepreneurial mindset and entrepreneurship. Entrepreneurship is not just about buying and selling, but it's more than that. Seeing problems as opportunities, transforming these opportunities into products or services, and making a fulfilling life. And last but not the least, one of the biggest challenges that we have, 2026 is closing the import substitutions year. And we have to fast track at all levels to make sure that the bigger projects that we have put, that we are capable of reducing our balance of trade deficit, meaning that we are importing more than we are exporting in certain goods and services. That is why we have to accelerate the import substitution strategy, the last phase, and to make sure that those things that we are capable of producing, we should produce them. That is why basins like the Upper Known Development Authority in Rice, we know the UNVDA, as well as the SEMRI, we have to make sure that those bigger projects that has been put into place by the government in collaboration with the Japanese government in the production of dryland rice, we should make sure that Cameroonians at all levels.
It has not ended with you. I just want you to let me know, how have we as a country close the gap between micro and macro economy?
A lot. I mean, at the macro level, the government of Cameroon has carried out a lot of fiscal policy, created a lot of incentive thanks to the collaboration with the International Monetary Fund. They had proven that,
so you mean that we should keep that for the milestone then?
Yes, exactly. It's a very important milestone. Yeah, we have the framework.
We'll get to that. You
exactly,
explain to us.
Exactly.
Now let's move to some political challenges that Cameroon has faced. Political analyst Paul.
Sure. Well, for me, it's pretty simple. When we talk about politics, what are the challenges that we face? I think from a pedagogic standpoint, it's really the comprehension of our electoral code. The comprehension of our electoral code allows us to be able to review and analyze and understand the process in itself and the procedures in itself. Because there's a difference between the electoral process, the electoral code, and the comprehension of it, of the procedures as well as the actors and the stakeholders that come into play. So first of all, when we look at the electoral process in itself, what are the stakeholders, what are the major actors, we will understand that you have Elections Cameroon that manages the material organization of elections. You have the Ministry of Territorial Administration that supervises in terms of regulation, which is the agent of the state. You have civil society, political parties, and also you have entities such as the journalism, mass communications, just like CRTV, that allow people to be able to comprehend. And you come back now to there's the intrinsic factor, fact-checking. So that comprehension, we understand that we live in a world where negativity sells. So therefore, in a political environment, in a political climate, for me not to go too in-depth into it.
Not actually in-depth, but just show us how these actors face challenges. What was the challenge there?
So I posed the bigger picture, so now we can go in-depth so that we can see the challenges. The challenges is really the comprehension. For example, political parties, militants and sympathizers who do not comprehend or understand the political process can feed into propaganda that leads them to a negative connotation of what the process is or who the person carrying the political agenda is. So for me, that sums
Negative connotation, let me use your word. What does that mean? That it can lead them to that. And what? Tell us, let us know what happened.
Well, a negative connotation, the easy example is what the President of the Republic says. Maybe purveyors of wrong illusions, someone who would lie to you for an agenda to make you vote for them. That's just as simple as it is. Or someone who carry out an agenda politically for their own personal interest, because you have to understand, politics also is a game of interest. So therefore, from a political standpoint, I think one of the challenges, the major challenges we had in Cameroon from the start of the year, going on to the end of the year in terms of domestic policy, was the fact that the comprehension by many Cameroonians, mind you, we have a statistic of 60 to 70% of our population that is youthful. So therefore, their comprehension...
There are some political analysts, you call them political scientists sometimes, right, who say that when you add everything in politics, it comes up to 0. If you add 1 plus 1 is 0, you add 10 plus 10 is 0, you add 200, 1,000 plus 1,000 is 0. Is that interest that you're talking about? Which also means that people are not really absolute, that everybody lies in politics.
Well, those are not really political scientists, those are political marketers. Because if everything sums up to 0, then there's no need going into the process. Because 0 plus 0 is 0. But therefore, if there's an interest, it means that 0 plus 1 is 1. Basically, so therefore there's an interest in it. You won't get into politics if you do not gain something. You won't get into politics if you don't have an agenda, you don't have a vision, you can propose something to the people. You won't get into politics if you can't get militants and sympathizers. That's the basic core of creating a political party, which is a vehicle to be able to help people to push an agenda.
So where do you put rigging in, if you wanted to? Because if you were to say 1 plus 1 is 2,
yes,
then you eliminate rigging.
No, you cannot say...
For example.
Of course, that's part of the process.
It's supposed to not, because you can use rigging to win, which means that whatever thing you want to do is you want to win.
No, if you rig to win, that means the process in itself and the procedure wasn't followed.
Okay.
That's why we come back to the electoral code. So if you rig to win, it means that we have to amend. That's why I talk of the comprehension of the electoral process, the electoral code, and the procedures, and we could look at the challenges to it that could lead to solutions to an amelioration which would allow people's comprehension of the electoral process with the stakeholders in the electoral process to now consult and meet to be able to change and ameliorate the electoral code, which is what we all agree in an electoral process, to be able to conduct ourselves, just like we always say back at home, conduct yourself, to conduct ourselves in a competition, to be able to see who is the viable winner. So that comprehension in itself, because from a holistic manner, people who are back at home, who are in the region, just say there is an election, but they don't comprehend the electoral process, they don't understand the electoral procedures, whether they be at the local regions, with the regional elections, which equally has the decentralization code, which each area has the electoral code and the electoral process and elections Cameroon. So we went through a year, a full year from, we could say, from about the convocation of the elections, where the president election convoked the electoral code, I think in July.
Yes.
Till we are at the end of the year. That's about 5 months out of a whole year. So you have to understand, you take 30 million Cameroonians within that space, that energy, that mindset. You have to be careful to make sure that they understand, they comprehend, so that way, in a civic and participative, inclusive manner, they can understand their civic and civil rights. So
yes,
that's where I want to learn, because if you do not respect each other's civic and civil rights, then you cross each other, and then you will lead to what you're alluding to, the fact that I could rig. I could rig if I don't understand that my civic and patriotic right allows me to comprehend the electoral code, and equally allows you to understand the electoral code. But we can have differences about it. But then there is the procedure that allows for certain judicial institutions of the nations that we all respect as the Republican institution, for them to be the player.
Another challenge? Another challenge from
another challenge which I really want to highlight is
maybe the violence that we had.
The violence and the
post-electoral violence.
The post-electoral, the precursor to the violence, it will come back to, I think you will learn finally with Dr. Mbarika here, where I talk of, we have a generational digital divide. It's a very important aspect in Africa. We have a generational digital divide. We have a generation of 60 to 70% young Cameroonians who rely on social media for information. who rely on social media for whatever they want to do in terms of their day-to-day. So when you have a generational digital divide that relies on a certain information, which might not be factual information, you come back to a post-electoral crisis where the comprehension of the procedure and the processes can be biased, can be subjective, and therefore you could lead to post-electoral violence, which sometimes in a digital age and generation can go to 0 to 100 in less than 2 minutes. So therefore we found ourselves Cameroonians who were maybe, say, intellectual, leading ourselves to informal. She said something which was very important.
Patient,
registered Patient said something with registered voters. We had about 8 million registered voters, right, in Cameroon.
Yes.
8.2.
8.2. But when we look at the post-electoral violence, when we look at those who were probably particularly involved in it, were they registered voters? But what were they relying on? They were relying on a digital source of information. Was the digital source of information factual? That is debatable. But
Well,
that
exactly, that's debatable. Let's go to Patience. You just talked about, we will go to Professor Mbarika. He's going to end up this round of speech. Let's come to you. You react to what Dr. Kennedy said, to what Paul has said, and probably you further that into other perspectives, including the challenges in women.
Permit me say that no matter from what angle you look at it from, remember that we talk about electoral cycles. I am an international trainer. I've been an observer. I've trained in rooms with every electoral management body, you know that.
Yeah,
I'm an award winner.
I'm aware.
Even the country, several awards. And there's one thing every one of them will tell you, be it the Palestinian board, the Israeli guys I've handled, the US, and all of that I've been into, they would tell you it's about an electoral cycle, especially with Cameroon. And besides, before we go any further, Cameroon is touted as having what they call the stakeholders process. It's about you and I. Now he raised an issue. Are Cameroonians sufficiently informed? Are they educated? You and I have spoken about a number of things recently. In the past, I've been director of communications. I grew up under Dr. Diana Chamufa, the Tumfa Nikohalis at O'Neill, the National Elections Observatory. I grew up to see Elekam born. I watched these stakeholders who are yet today and some who are dead come together to work for the codification. I was a reporter, I was a journalist. I have recorded sound of persons in this country, dead and alive. If I put them out, if I had the right, some people would hide their faces.
Bring it as a challenge.
You understand? Yes. So the thing is, it is a code. They took the laws that existed and they brought them together. Some have been reviewed. I'm trying to be as simple. I'm not going to use the technical terms. Right. You understand? From 2012. And then it moved down later that year, and then it came down to the 19th. So when you look at what has happened to the law, who put the laws together? I can call names, but I won't call. Yeah. The political parties who are making noise today were part of those who worked on that, who even went as far as pushing for the creation of the Constitutional Council. What did they say later when they went to face the Constitutional Council? They violated even the laws of the Constitutional Council. They worked to set up together.
But the fact proven by so many people,
the code has to be reviewed.
Well, that's what I want.
Before I left Elekam. There were proposals were made. There are lapses. And then do not forget that the code was born under duress. The Ni John Fundis of blessed memory, the Daikole Daisalas were all around. The Isaac Fezos who've all gone were still around. The Kawalas all came to Elekam. Anybody who wants to say they were not present, even the Maurice Camptos, should come and face me. I'll bring out videos. This is what I'm trying to say. Yes. We need to review it. They all agreed at the time. And you're working with an electoral code that brought in a biometric system, in a system where you don't even have electrification in the hinterlands. You want results to come in immediately. Do you have the right electrification energy system? No, you don't. Are there realities to be handled? You have to handle that. Do you even have this, your shiny bulb in all the polling centers when they want to do vote counting structures? You don't. Now, when you're talking about communication,
you're going to continue. Let me just tell you something. In a debate on Press about a month ago, there's someone who was complaining about this electrification in the rural areas and the rest, and someone just asked a question. It was in education, and said, do you have money to transfer to someone of your family in the village today and the person will not receive the money,
it.
they will receive.
Yes. So that's why I'm happy you brought it up.
So this thing of there's no
So this is a
electrification
call.
of rural area.
So let me land. Since we're talking about electrification, what did the head of state say about the electrification issues in the country? We're going towards legislative elections very soon, and it's going to be a people's election. If you want to calm down everybody. Every Cameroonian takes time out to go through their phone, click elsewhere. How many people visit Elecam's website, which needs to be revamped besides? How many people witness the electoral register go down biometrically? How many people went through the issue of the cards? How many people went back to ask? How many of you have been to the headquarters of Elections Cameroon to just sit down in the documentation center to read? Okay, this year we didn't have, we did a challenge.
The challenge there, for so many
wise.
Cameroonians, you know, we are communicating. I will give you back the microphone. The challenge for Elecam is not to let Cameroonians stress to go to their website. Is to get once someone is registered, the person should get their card.
Okay, let me come to there.
In their center. They shouldn't stress.
Let me tell you something.
I think that's what I understand by challenge.
Let me land. Why do you have the 360 council offices in terms of decentralization? It depends on the type of election you're doing. You have an election where anywhere you are, you can vote. The presidential, right? Okay, when it comes to the regional elections, it's different. It's a whole college. When it comes to the legislative, you have to understand that. You understand? You have to be, it's where you're based, because I'm not trying to use the technical terms, where you live, how long have you lived there, are you registered, have you changed, are you conscious of the fact that, let me tell you what shocked me this year, excuse me, both of you.
Yeah, but,
they are senior, even journalists.
Say that in one minute,
yes,
conclude in 1 minute,
journalists,
move on to
it's
challenges
about
that women
information and communication and education.
Yes.
This year, how many billboards did you see in the streets educating you compared to 2018? None. How many? Just a few. One time, I went round. I've been communication head and PR. I've been focal point for gender, minorities, all of that.
That's
you understand? So yes. How many people, when a mama is at Fundi, she spends 3/4 of her time in the market, and she doesn't have time to always go to her Facebook or whatever. When she wants to go, she wants to watch a film that comes out and is shot. And then you have the challenge of the communication part. She's not been informed. And then there is no MOU between maybe Elections Cameroon as we used to have this is not publicity, I'm sorry, with Camtel, with MTN, with Orange, as we used to have, where we used to forward information to you. It was a push and pull system where we tell you, okay, go get your card from here. It wasn't present this year. I'm raising this so we all become conscious. Political parties, and then all the international partners who pushed forward some grant. We didn't see the billboards we used to have informing, educating Cameroonians. On top of that, we had the issue of the voter registration. It was your IT guys all around the world, Cameroonians who are so smart, spent their time hacking. They knocked it down several times. And on some occasions, because I was in a certain group of discussion, I discovered that things had gone wrong. Somebody pushed, and I had to call to say, watch out. All the data is exposed with sensitive names. I shared that with you. They reacted in the night. So when you're talking about IT, there's several issues coming up because of this IT thing, misinformation.
Now, let us get to, we're talking so much about IT. Let's get the challenges in IT, between challenges and milestones. What is the balance sheet for Cameroon? Prof.
You know, my dear sister, Dr. Patience,
hey,
when you, I'm giving you the honorary doctorate title because I have the authority to do that. Now, but coming to that, see, the fact is this: information technology comes with its own challenges. In fact, I supervised one of the 30 PhDs I've supervised. One just looked at what we call the unintended consequences of IT. It comes with unintended consequences. It will shock you to know you're a Elecam. One of our ICT university students broke into it.
Yeah.
What was the solution? They locked him up. We rallied and released him. But that's not a solution, arresting these people. The solution is to bring him to work for Elecam. All right?
Yes.
To bring it to work. Because the guys were just excited. We teach cyber security, but we did not tell them to go and break into Elecan. Okay, let me clarify that. So these are unintended consequences of technology. It's a challenge. But then the solution is train more people, not locking them up. Because you lock up all these young people, it will go somewhere. Now.
But we should also let them know that by doing that, it's illegal and it's criminal.
Yeah.
Of course, it's criminal. Please, no. We teach that in IT ethics,
Go
okay?
ahead, go ahead.
It's very illegal. We say we are not training you to go and break into... When you teach cyber security, people think teaching cyber security how to protect your system. It's also when you teach cyber security, you're teaching how to hack into systems. So you can know how people hack and they can... The porous nature of our government ministries now, I talked about it on PRC TV, is terrible. Something needs to be done. They can be accessed easily. My team, they've looked into it, okay?
That they should not try because...
No. But we do tests and stuff,
Yes.
and just to see.
In
It's
2013
important for me to be able to make such statements. If the government is interested, we can show them, you know. But it's necessary, Killian, to know where these challenges are in order to then find out how to approach them.
It's a real
Now, one
challenge,
thing, please, Killian, I want to bring my own point of challenges coming from the president's speech. He announced an amazing thing, 50 billion for young people to build businesses that can address these same challenges we are talking about. To me, that is very ambitious, which is good. Now, the person that tries to embezzle that money should be killed in a public square by hanging.
Well, should go through the judicial
I don't
system.
care about judicial.
Yeah, no,
they
must
should
go
take
through,
them straight. I
must
disagree
go
with
through
you.
the legal
There
system.
are people destroying this
Cameroon
country.
is a state of law.
No.
So the law
People
first.
asking about the state of law.
Yes.
The head of state has good intentions. 50 billion will be released for young people to invest because everybody has been saying young people, entrepreneurship, like my good brother Tumenta says, which is good, and he's doing an amazing job getting young people to invest. Now money will be released, which is what I've been talking in many of my interviews. We can't just tell people, go and invest. They need a point, a starting point. Come on. I mean, a young person who is hardly having something to eat, you tell them, go and invest. Well, the president is now releasing money for this. 50 billion is good money. I'm not saying this to be proud. We announced about a year ago that we were going to put in 5 billion francs for investment in young people investing in digital agriculture. We have already spent about half a billion already. And we are continuing to do that as our own contribution to nation building, where young people will come in, each of them will have 1 hectare of land, and then they will develop that into a business between them and what we do as an institution. And thank goodness, people don't realize this. Some years back, the head of state allowed universities to develop businesses. It's actually there. I'm not trying to be proud. That's why 99% of our graduates from ICT University, I challenge you, go and check that. They're not in showman camp. They're not looking for, they're not somewhere idle. Most of them don't even work for anybody. They work for themselves. It can happen. It is happening in this country. It's only that we should humble ourselves and learn from people making it happen instead of showing, oh, I am director of this or minister of this. Learn. That is why you have a lot of Cameroonian citizens that have studied here and abroad and have bright ideas. And so when I look at this thing, I'm excited.
So
the head of state has declared
challenge,
this. But how do we manage this 50 billion, Killian, is going to be another thing. Because the next thing you will hear is only 10 billion was used. And then you will tell me go through the court. No, I refuse. We are tired. At this point, they should just kill the people.
Now, I get your emotions, and you may not be justified in your end, but I get your emotion. Many people share that opinion with you. But the point that we have to make here and now is that in Cameroon, I should even just take 30 seconds or a bit more to tell people why people are not executed without judgment. It is simply that there could be a mistake.
Yeah.
There are mistakes. Somebody can set you up. Another person has done it, and another person has set you up, and it's your name that comes up. If it doesn't go through a court, for the court to go into all what happened, witnesses and the rest, to establish legally that you were the one. So it's not like we don't share that opinion, but that is why
Let's
the
meet
courts.
in the middle. Let's meet in the middle.
That's why
After
the
the court,
courts.
can we execute them in public?
The courts have that option. The
Because
death
we
sentence
keep
in
them in
Cameroon.
prison,
No, death
we
sentence
have
exists already.
Let's
already in
just add
Cameroon.
it to the law, put it in the public square. That way people will learn a lesson.
Thank you, but it goes through the court.
No
Thank you
problem,
so much.
there we agree.
Thank you so much.
Yes.
Yeah, you
I
talk
think-
about the
Go ahead. Go ahead.
database.
Yeah, well, you are raising a very important point to land here. As an economist, there is a caca worm eating the foundations of our great strategy. And this caca worm is irresponsibility, theft in the name of corruption that destroy creativity at all levels. Of course, Killian, we have to make sure as we move towards the 2026 that this governance crisis, if you look at China, if you look at Germany, you look at all these big countries that are growing at a great rate, it's because they fought this thing. Corruption steals creativity, steals hard work, steals innovation, steals solidarity. So as an economic artist, it's something that we try to massage, give him a different call, and out of a sudden, kids believe that I want to become this because I can raise money illegally to be able to finance my social relationship. So I believe that as we speak on the development, the trajectory, we do not have to massage issues like corruption, bad governance, siphoning state funds. We can accept because only the weak could be punished. So we have to show that it is disunity, is inciting violence, is stealing resources that are supposed to build 21st century educational classes. They are stealing resources for healthcare. They are creating accidents because the resources to build the right roads are not there. So sometimes we have to, of course, under due process, as you said, we have to make sure that as economic artists, without sound moral framework, we are rewarding thieves and punishing moral people.
That is very hard. Yes, patience. When you're going to move from what they are saying, from there, you let us know the challenges that women have faced in Cameroon. That is the challenges that we have to overcome for women to have.
One thing before I get to the,
Yes.
to the women, and besides the concern about what I'm going to talk, for heaven's sake, over a decade ago, we had a census of the population. The results were published in 2005. 5 years afterwards, the figures had moved forward. You're talking development economic-wise. You're talking digital. You're talking politics at every level. It's all about the data.
Yes.
Do you have a database in this country? We're going to have a census this year. We have two structures. Someone should help me. I'm not going to be destructive. But what's the role of the National Institute for Statistics?
The data you're talking about, and
Okay.
they have data.
No, hold on a second. See,
The population that we project today at 30 million
excuse me.
is from there.
Mr. Moderator.
Go on.
We have a structure in charge of the census population. We have two structures. I think it's high time they brought them together with Antique to sign an MOU.
Okay.
You understand?
Absolutely.
If I'm former head of, I was head. People don't know. I resigned recently from my role as head of African programs and community relations at IDF Africa, where all the Bill Gates and West were involved in one way or the other. You know that. I'd done a good job. 5 years afterwards, I felt happy after I handled the MC of the last world meeting. I stepped down. I came back and I told you. So I can talk reliably. I know about the dark side of biometrics and your data. And we've had all those meetings with all the structures in the world. I can tell you that with World Bank, all of them, they all participate. So I can talk about what's happening. Okay. So what I'm saying is this. We need a database in this country. If the National Institute for Statistics has data, let them create an institutional radio or TV program to communicate about that and tell us how they get about those statistics.
I personally went there.
I know.
I went to the National
I am not
Institute for
doubting what they
Statistics.
do.
Yes,
It's a rhetorical, it's a positively disruptive question I brought up. For answers to come up, to get us thinking.
Yes.
They are not communicating. Most people have traveled out of this country with members under as a former UN Women focal point, with MPs, with municipal council heads, to a meeting where we were embarrassed. But because I had learned to be diplomatic in my speech, when others were talking about their data protection agencies, and this structure was present, they couldn't give statistics. You have to learn to communicate and tell us how you got those figures. You're talking, yes, they have figures. Did they organize a census? Did they come to you? Did they do a one-on-one? Did
They
do
actually do, even when you are not aware. They told me.
Excuse me.
And they explained to me.
Is it about people? It's about individuals, right?
Yes, if they don't communicate enough.
Excuse me, Kilian,
Patience.
let me land.
Yes.
Do we have a strong digital process to get all the data at once?
No.
Are we all registered?
Did
they count all the children who were born? Did they come to me, patients?
No,
did they come to you? Did they come to you?
They didn't.
Did they come to you?
They didn't.
So when I'm
communicating,
about what I
no, they have a mechanism that without coming to you, that's exactly what I want to tell you. Without coming to you, they actually know what's happening.
Kilian, I worked with ID for Africa.
Yes, to end that.
I worked with ID for Africa.
To end what I know about them, they will not come and communicate if they are not very sure of the slightest detail. That's why sometimes they delay. That's the explanation.
How many years, Kilian?
Now, let's listen to...
I've not landed. You didn't let me land.
No, see.
Excuse me, if we're going to...
I will come back to you, please. I will come back. You know, you've spoken for about 7 minutes.
That's okay.
Yes, we're going to come back to you. We'll come back to patience, but we're talking about this. It's emanated from the head of state, and we have someone who appreciates the head of state speech to Cameroonian, Honorable Oliver Ago, who is CPDM MP for Tuba and Bafut.
Came back to the inaugural speech when he was taking his oath of office. He reiterated most of those things that he announced, which is a kind of a commitment to the engagement that he took. We saw into the speech so many opportunities that we again reminded ourselves as people's representative, and that we are going to leverage on the speech to be able to build on so many things, bringing for the awareness to our people. We want to pay special attention to the opportunities the head of state announced to the youth, and more especially to the women. And we think that if the youth are able to take advantage of the 50 billion the head of state announced, we will be saying something else. And then also the head of state talked about the successful organization of the presidential and the regional election, which stepped forward as an indication of vitality in our democracy, which also reminds us that this year we are having the legislative and the municipal election, which will now be something that is directly concerning us, members of parliament and the municipal councils, which is a giant step towards the full implementation of our decentralization, which will be another test of our democracy, actually transform our democracy into economic benefit for our people. And we want to say that for those of us who will be contesting, we want to build on it to say that will be another opportunity for us to be at the service of our people, even in the different areas that we have already contributed. In the domain of education, we granted scholarship to our people. We gave benches to Cas Bambili and other educational institutions in the constituency. In the domain of health, we supported so many health projects. In the domain of infrastructure and reconstruction, we donated roving sheet to houses that were destroyed during the crisis in my constituency. And in so many areas, we have reached out to our people in helping them to come out of poverty. And then we want to say that it will be another opportunity for us to keep saving our people.
That's Honorable Oliver Ago. He is MP for Tuba and Bafut. We were supposed to have concluded the challenges, but we'll just get back to patience. 1 minute, 30 seconds. Because we cannot be talking about challenges without looking at what women need to do.
To cut things short, to whosoever is listening, we need positively discriminatory measures in this country to get more women in the lead.
What does that mean?
Be it for electoral roles. Let me give you an example. The head of state is in support of women leading. The head of state at the same time is at the helm of affairs of the CPDM, the ruling party. We just had regional elections. He's the head of that. How many women did he push? What was the quota? Was there specific? We don't have a quota system because we all subscribe to the 30% UN quota, and then for AU, it's 50%. You'll see that it happens. It's real in Uganda, in Uganda, it's in Rwanda, amongst other countries. I can go on mentioning. We have a list of that. So if he doesn't ensure that he puts his foot down, we would end up being as angry as I am over the regional elections that just ended. No woman leading, and the CPDM has more seats, more leadership roles. I'm going to end up being angry when I walk into the Senate and I look at the various commissions, the 9 commissions, except if they've gone up or they've gone down, and not find women leading at least 3 or 4 or 5 of those commissions. And it wouldn't end there. The first, you remember you had me here before. I spoke about this regional council thing, even at the Senate. If he's got to ensure that he keeps on with the 30% quota list, let him help us. And another group of persons who are feeling very frustrated, if I don't say my children would speak, because that's how I call them, persons with disabilities, different categories. Please, Mr. Head of State, the best which is yet to come. I'm waiting to see what you're going to do. Openly call them, just say les personnes handicapées ou persons with disabilities, so that they would rejoice and know that they are human beings. The preamble to the constitution of this country is explicit. Yes, you have youth in it. Yes, you have women in it. Yes, you have persons with disabilities in it. And yes, you have minority groups. What happened to my children in the forest? I'm a mother to the people at Misome, where you guys and even the UN took me to go and talk to people in the forest. What is happening about them? So you need positively discriminatory measures in this country. I'm happy you've created an agency for the women, but do you have the profile, the data?
When you talk to the head of state the way you just did, you just stay quiet. He has listened.
I'm a daughter. I have to say it.
No, we accept, but you just listen first. Don't add to it. Thank you so much. He has listened. Now we're going to look at the milestones in that Cameroon has covered this year. If you want to go back before the last year, you can do that. We're going to start with Paul and Chang. You have not spoken for quite a while. We'll start with you.
Well, that's interesting. I haven't spoken because I've listened to everybody as well. But as a political analyst, I would sum up what everybody is saying. They want a fight. They want a reduction of administrative tolerance. That's what really, in terms of policy review and governance, that's what we're talking about on this set. Administrative tolerance leads to corruption. So in terms of government review and government policy, because there's a difference between government policy and enacting government policy and the implementation of government policy. So really what's happening is that when there's administrative tolerance leads to a lack of the follow-up, and we have 2 sort of governance policies in Cameroon, because we have decentralization, which is the deconcentration really in terms of state agents going into the regions as well. So we saw the regional elections with the votes. Mind you, in Andabawa and in the south, we have a vice president of the region that's a female. It is true the quota has not been reached. I do understand you, but in terms of a systemic process, you have to allow the procedure to be able to move on along with it. But I definitely do agree with you that you always have to, in terms of governance and policy, remind so that the actors and the stakeholders in the process, because we are in a republic, you have the executive, you have the judiciary, and you also, so it's a little bit, and you have the legislature. We have a bicameral system in terms of the legislature, where the Senate handles more of the decentralization, and those in Parliament go more to the constituencies as well.
What is the milestone they have achieved?
No, the milestone for me, really, as a political analyst, I would say is the election that was held. The maturity, because what we are describing here is the vitality, the democratic vitality of our republic. Now, you can give it a different connotation. You can mark it positive, you can mark it negative. That's your subjective opinion. But the vitality of our economy in terms of the presidential elections, where you had 83 candidates, 12 retained, then we go to the post-election, and then you see that there was 53% of the election, but the post-crisis saw the maturity of the population, despite the digital difficulties we have in governance that are allowed to the different issues, identification that she's raising. So to me, the maturity of the Cameroonian population, because it's very critical in a post-electoral crisis, it could go from 0 to 100, and that leads to a security crisis. We are in the heart, we are the hub of the Central African region. That's why I was commending at the start the Minister of Defense going to Kongsamba, where there was some post-electoral crisis out there as well, to be able to meet with the troops, so that we should be able to, it's a call for living together, it's a call for solidarity. So I'm coming back to that as a milestone, because we saw a head of state at his speech, where in terms of domestic policy was 3/4 of his speech. Foreign policy was very least highlighted.
Now, you're talking about foreign policy. I'm going to go to Professor Victor Mbarika. What will you say are milestones that Cameroon has?
You know, Killian, when I answer this question, I know a lot of my friends will criticize me that I'm too positive, but I want to be very, very serious about this. We've achieved a lot of milestones in this country in the past year. But first of all, I do support your discriminatory idea about having women, just like we do in Uganda. The head of the parliament there is my former student in Uganda, and she's doing very well, and they have quotas even for elections. So I support that. But let's see milestones in terms of Cameroon is not, in the digital world, it's not doing badly for women. The Minister of Post and Telecom is a woman. The Camtel director is a woman. One of the leading users of IT in banking, EcoBank, my friend Gwen, is a woman. And I'm even told, I think the chairman of ART is a woman, I don't know. Agence de Régulation de Télécommunications. Absolutely. So we have a lot more to do, but we are not at point zero. But even in the digital world, my goodness, Cameroon has achieved to have, we have one of the fastest processing of passports in the world. Right. Cameroon processes passports faster than America. I have seen people process their passports in less than 3 days in this country. You cannot get that in the United States.
It is officially 48 hours.
But it's 4 to 6 weeks in the United States. Okay. Unless you pay a heavy amount of money to expedite it. The ID cards, when the system started, people were criticizing, oh, there was a hitch. They did not even give time. I am an IT expert. I have done work for many. I made my money from African governments and governments in Asia, helping them with IT solutions. That's where I made the most of my money in my life. No system that you establish is perfect from the start. And any IT system you put will have hitches from the beginning. But people were criticizing that, oh, there were problems at the start for the passports, for the ID cards, for driver's licenses. Sorry, no, something else. E-visa. E-visa had some issues at the start. People were criticizing, you see, oh, nothing works for this government. Nothing works. But now that things are working well, nobody's talking about it. Nobody's talking about it. When I say that, I have friends who say that maybe the government is giving me money. I don't need this government's money. I've made my life by God's grace. But the reality is, we have achieved great milestones where you can make an ID card in less than a week. Yeah. But before, people had to go around with, what is that recipe say?
Yeah, the recipe.
But now that things are moving, nobody is talking. I'm not seeing it in the media. In fact, maybe CRTV is showing it, but I'm not seeing it in the media. This country is achieved great milestones. I'm a believer in this country, and I'm a believer greater things are to come. And I really, really think this term of the president will mark a huge difference.
Yes, before I come to Dr. Kennedy and Patience for milestones, let us get Honorable Oliver once again for the last time before we come to you. Aspect of this country that the president has been announcing that we need reforms.
Coming back. This commitment of the head of state coming back to his inaugural speech reminds us of the reforms that he himself has been talking about, even when he announced in Parliament. And we are looking forward to these reforms because we see reforms, especially in the domain of our political setting and in our electoral processes in Cameroon. We think that it is very important for us to reform in this area because when you look at Cameroon, it's a kind of election republic. Because let me take an example of 2018. We had two elections in 2018, and in less than 2 years we had election in 2020, and then in less than 2 years we had the senatorial election in 2023. Then in less than 2 years we had the presidential elections in 2025 and the regional election in 2025. Then in 2026 we are having the parliamentary and council election. In less than 2 years we'll be having the senatorial election. So you see that our system is a kind of election republic which does not really allow for economic drive, does not really permit our citizens to engage in a way that our people can create wealth. And so I think that we should actually support the head of state with this kind of reforms that will enable our political institution to support economic drive. Because any policy that is not geared towards development is not really political at all. I believe that our politics should be geared towards economic advancement of our country. And so we should reform in a way that we should have general election once in 5 years that can permit the other state institutions to function well.
Well, that's a suggestion that we should take into consideration.
I'll commend Honorable Oliver Ago, who is doing a very great job in his constituency. It is true the frequency of elections sometimes weighs because of the cost of the election, and in most African countries it's very difficult in terms of the budgeting. The finance law doesn't permit it. We have a bicameral system. It is true it could look like an election republic, so I commend him for that effort. It would lead to the amelioration of the electoral code that will allow, in terms of the legislature, to be able to put in a schedule that will allow for the economic system itself and the economic actors to be able to take advantage of what we have.
Patience, that idea is original, and I think that it saves time, money, and energy.
Well, it sounds original for those who don't know about that.
Yes.
But I've been an African Union observer to Uganda, and that's the kind of system they run. They have a general election approach, but the advantage with them is they are very sensitive to the various groups in society. So you notice that on the eve of the main election day, what do they have? You have a special election with women voting on the women MPs or municipal council targeted zones. You have an election for persons with disabilities, electing persons with disabilities into the parliament amongst. Then on election day, when it's a general, they open it up to everybody, so that if you had intentions of minimizing the role or the potential of a person with disabilities because of, you know, the kind of the thoughts we have, and even for women, you would have women in it, and then women can talk about their issues, men can talk about their issues, and men and persons with disabilities can push for their issues in parliament and the Senate, amongst others. And then people like he for she, like you.
Yes, I'm a he for she.
Yeah, he for she, and you've always been that, and I commend you for that, can push for such rights too. So it's possible, but then you have to go through a review of the Constitution.
Maybe you should tell
everything.
You should remind our people who is a he for she.
A he for she is a male, who make a talk of a pigeon. No. We need to kind of man picking them. Man picking them where they believe say woman picking, not before hide them. So woman picking gets sense, it get capacity. For go out there is stand up, and where they stand up talk for man picking rather than under UN women they be do that kind one too.
He for she supports women action and goes in for women have their rightful place in the society. Yes, Dr. Kennedy.
Yes, I think that the milestones, the economic milestones last year, First of all is the fact that we had approximately 420 megawatt of electricity that was pumped that helped us with about 30%. We found that the second phase of the Kribi deep sea port came out, meaning that the logistics goods are coming in. We saw that the non-oil, the mining sector was now go live. Our mining sector went live thanks to the great job that has been done by Frucalistic and the team. And another part is that we no longer import a lot of ties and cement, which is also something very good for the import substitution. But again, what was mentioned with regards to the fact that we have to carry out a lot of productive investment. Elections is a consumption investment for stability, but we need to make sure that we create a space where we carry out those elections, and the other part of the money should be on productive investment.
Thank you.
I believe that for this year, we can do a lot.
Yes, thank you. We mean that the idea of in 30 seconds, please, because I'm reminded that we have used all our time.
Thank you so much. And in the education sector, we are seeing more girls than boys even joining things like software engineering at ICT University. We are proud of that, but I just wanted these 30 seconds to mention I lost my lovely grandmother 3-4 days ago, Mama Esther Mado, and I want to give a shout out to her. May her soul rest in peace, my mom's mom. So
accept our condolences. We're so sorry. May Grandma's soul rest in perfect peace. Ladies and gentlemen, and it's on that note that we come to the end of today's edition of Press Hour, on which we are grateful, and once again we wish you a happy new year, 2026.